You do not see the world as it is. You see the world as you believe it to be. Every sight, every sound, every judgment you make is filtered through a lens you rarely notice, yet it shapes your entire reality. These lenses are your belief systems, and the most dangerous thing about them is their invisibility. You think you are simply perceiving the truth, when in fact you are perceiving your truth. Belief systems are like water to a fish, ever-present, life-defining, yet unseen. You inherit them from family, culture, religion, education, media. You build them through experiences, traumas, choices. And once established, they determine not only what you see, but also what you cannot see. A belief is not just a thought. It is a filter that decides which thoughts are allowed to enter your mind at all. Consider this. Two people walk into the same room. One believes the world is dangerous. The other believes it is full of opportunity. The first notices the locked doors, the shadows in the corners, the potential threats. The second notices the open windows, the people smiling, the possibilities for connection. They occupy the same space, but they live in different worlds. The difference is not the room. It is the belief system interpreting the room. This is why philosophers from Nietzsche to Kierkegaard to Pascal wrestled with belief not as decoration, but as destiny. Nietzsche declared that convictions are more dangerous enemies of truth than lies, because once a belief takes root, it defends itself fiercely, bending perception to fit its frame. Kierkegaard said that belief is not just an intellectual position, but a leap, a commitment of the self that reshapes existence. William James, the father of American psychology, argued that belief systems act as self-fulfilling prophecies, shaping what we are capable of seeing, doing, and becoming. But perhaps the most unsettling truth is this: you rarely choose your belief systems consciously. They choose you. They are installed before you are aware, implanted by parents, absorbed from culture, reinforced by peers. You wake up one day and realize you already believe certain things about morality, success, love, death. And from that moment forward, those beliefs guide you, whether or not they are true. Modern psychology confirms what philosophers intuited. Cognitive scientists like Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky have shown that the brain does not process information neutrally. We are prone to confirmation bias, the tendency to seek evidence that confirms our existing beliefs and to dismiss evidence that challenges them. If you believe people cannot be trusted, you notice betrayals and overlook kindness. If you believe you are unworthy, you remember failures and forget successes. Your belief system edits reality before you are even aware. This editing happens so quickly, neuroscientists tell us that by the time you are conscious of an event, your brain has already filtered it through layers of expectation and meaning. You are not looking through a clear window at the world. You are looking through stained glass colored by beliefs. And like stained glass, the beauty or distortion of the image depends not on the light itself, but on the filter. Have you noticed how people can live in completely different realities while sharing the same facts? This is not simply stubbornness. It is the power of belief systems. Two people can read the same news article and come away with opposite conclusions because their beliefs determine what counts as evidence, what counts as truth, what counts as possible. Facts do not change minds as easily as beliefs change facts. This is why Jung warned that people don't have ideas, ideas have people. Beliefs are not passive possessions. They possess us. They shape our identity, dictate our fears, sculpt our hopes. We defend them not as opinions, but as pieces of ourselves. Attack someone's belief system, and they respond not with curiosity but with rage, because to question the belief is to threaten the self. Let me tell you a story. A man was raised to believe that wealth was evil, that to desire money was corrupt. He grew up rejecting ambition, criticizing success, clinging to poverty as a badge of virtue. Yet he could not understand why he felt resentful when others thrived, why he secretly longed for abundance but sabotaged himself at every turn. His belief system had created a cage. It edited reality so that he could never fully embrace success without betraying himself. Only when he questioned the belief, only when he asked, "What if wealth is not evil but neutral, and my use of it determines its value?" did the cage begin to unlock. The The bars were never real. They were beliefs. This is the invisible influence. You think you are making choices freely, but often you are simply acting out the script your belief system wrote long before you were aware of it. And the more invisible the belief, the stronger its hold. So here is a question. What do you believe about yourself, about others, about life, that you have never truly examined? Do you believe you are worthy? Do you believe the world is hostile or generous? Do you believe people are trustworthy or dangerous? These beliefs are not abstract. They shape every decision you make, every relationship you enter, every risk you take or refuse. Pascal once wrote, "People almost invariably arrive at their beliefs not on the basis of proof, but on the basis of what they find attractive." This is unsettling because it means our beliefs often reveal less about truth and more about desire. We believe what comforts us, what flatters us, what gives us belonging. The child believes what the parent believes, not because it is true, but because belonging is survival. The adult often does the same, clinging to beliefs that maintain community, even if it means ignoring doubt. And yet, belief systems are not inherently bad. They are necessary. Without them, life would be chaos. Beliefs give coherence, direction, meaning. The danger lies not in having belief systems, but in being blind to them. Blindness makes you a puppet. Awareness makes you free. But awareness requires courage. It means asking, what if my most cherished beliefs are wrong? What if the way I see the world is not the way the world is? Most people cannot bear this uncertainty. They prefer the comfort of illusion. Nietzsche called this the herd instinct, the tendency to cling to the beliefs of the group, because it is safer to be wrong together than to be right alone. To question deeply is to risk exile. And yet, all growth begins there. Think of Galileo, who challenged the belief system of his time by suggesting that the Earth revolved around the sun. His discovery was not only scientific, it was existential. It shattered the belief system that placed humanity at the center of the cosmos. The Church condemned him, not because the facts were unclear, but because the belief system was too fragile to change. This is the pattern throughout history. Every paradigm shift begins as heresy against the prevailing belief system. But belief systems do not only shape cultures. They shape you. Every day, you live inside invisible walls built by beliefs you have never questioned. Some protect you. Some imprison you. The first step toward freedom is to see them, to name them, to ask, whose beliefs am I living? My own, or those I inherited without choice? And here we return to the invisible influence. You do not need to believe in belief systems for them to shape you. They already do. The only choice you have is whether to remain unconscious or to become aware. Awareness does not mean abandoning all beliefs. It means holding them with humility, examining them with courage, and being willing to change when truth demands it. So I ask you, how much of your life has been lived not by choice but by belief? How many paths have you rejected because you believed you were not capable? How many relationships have you lost because you believed people could not be trusted? How many dreams have you abandoned because you believed they were impossible? The invisible influence of belief systems is not abstract. It is personal. It is the difference between the life you have and the life you might have had. And here lies the paradox. Beliefs shape reality, but reality can also reshape beliefs. The process of growth is the dialogue between the two. When you dare to step beyond your inherited beliefs, when you test them against experience, when you allow yourself to evolve, you begin to reclaim your freedom. In the next part, we will go deeper into how belief systems defend themselves, how they resist change, how they create cognitive dissonance when threatened. We will explore why people cling to beliefs even in the face of overwhelming evidence, and how entire societies can be blinded by collective illusions. And most importantly, we will begin to ask, how can we loosen the grip of invisible belief systems without losing the meaning they provide? The most fascinating and frustrating quality of belief systems is their stubbornness. Once a belief has taken root, it does not yield easily, even when confronted with overwhelming evidence. The human mind is not designed to pursue truth at all costs. It is designed to preserve coherence. To shatter a belief is to shatter the narrative that holds our identity together. And so, when reality contradicts our convictions, we often bend reality rather than abandon the belief. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. It is the discomfort we feel when facts clash with beliefs, when reality exposes contradictions in our worldview. To resolve this discomfort, we often do not adjust the belief. We reinterpret the facts. If we believe we are a good person but we act selfishly, we rationalize, "I had no choice." If we believe our political group is virtuous but they commit wrongdoing, we excuse it. The other side is worse. Beliefs protect themselves through the stories we tell. Leon Festinger's famous study in the 1950s revealed this phenomenon vividly. He observed a doomsday cult whose members believed the world would end on a certain date. When the prophecy failed, they did not abandon the belief. Instead, they proclaimed that their faith had saved the world from destruction. The failed prophecy became proof of belief's power. Facts were bent, reality reshaped, all to preserve the conviction that gave their lives meaning. Have you seen this in your own life? How often do you cling to a belief even as evidence accumulates against it? How often do you protect your worldview instead of adjusting it? This is not a flaw in a few. It is the universal architecture of the human mind. We are meaning-making creatures, and beliefs are the scaffolding of that meaning. Without them, we feel lost. So we defend them fiercely, sometimes irrationally. The danger is that belief systems do not only resist change within individuals, they defend themselves collectively. Whole cultures become fortified by shared convictions, creating what we might call collective illusions. These illusions feel solid because everyone around us affirms them, but they can collapse overnight when questioned. Think of the once universal belief that kings ruled by divine right, or that slavery was natural, or that the earth was the center of the cosmos. These beliefs lasted centuries, defended by institutions, laws, and rituals. And yet, when they fell quickly, as though people suddenly awoke from a dream. This is why Nietzsche said that madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, parties, nations, and ages it is the rule. Belief systems amplify when shared. What seems irrational alone becomes sacred in community. This is not just a philosophical point. It is a psychological necessity. Belonging has always been survival. To question the collective belief is to risk exile, and exile once meant death. Even today, in modern society, the fear of exclusion drives us to conform to group beliefs, even when they make little sense. This is why conspiracy theories flourish, why political ideologies polarize, why cultural myths endure. Beliefs spread not because they are true, but because they bind people together. A belief that unites can outlast a truth that isolates. The question then becomes, are you believing because it is true or because it is safe? Modern neuroscience sheds light here. Our brains release dopamine when we receive information that confirms our beliefs. Agreement feels rewarding, almost like a drug. By contrast, information that challenges our beliefs activates threat responses in the amygdala. Disagreement feels dangerous. This is why arguments so rarely change minds. Facts feel like attacks. We cling harder to the belief, not less, because to let go feels like annihilation. And yet, some people do change. Some find the courage to step outside their inherited beliefs. What makes them different? Often it is crisis. Jung noted that transformation often requires confrontation with suffering. A personal failure, a collapse of trust, a betrayal of expectations. These break open the shell of belief and force us to ask new questions. Without crisis, we may never examine what we take for granted. In this way, suffering becomes the doorway to freedom. But even when individuals awaken, societies may cling to illusions for generations. Consider the Salem witch trials. Entire communities convinced themselves that innocent women were possessed, and they justified executions on the basis of invisible evidence. To us today, this seems absurd. Yet what belief systems do we hold that will look absurd to future generations? What illusions do we defend now that history will laugh at later? This is why philosophy remains essential. Socrates was executed for corrupting the youth, but what he really did was question the unquestioned. His method of relentless inquiry, asking, "What do you mean? How do you know?" was an act of rebellion against invisible belief systems. He showed that the unexamined belief is the most dangerous because it enslaves without resistance. And yet, questioning is painful. It requires humility, the willingness to admit, "I may be wrong." Most people would rather defend the illusion than endure that humility. Kierkegaard observed that belief often involves passion more than reason, and that passion resists dismantling. To dismantle a belief is to risk despair, because it can feel like the ground beneath your feet dissolving. This is why so many choose certainty over truth. Certainty comforts, truth unsettles. But perhaps the most striking example of belief systems defending themselves comes not from religion or politics, but from personal identity. Imagine someone who believes they are unlovable. That belief becomes a filter. They interpret kindness as pity, affection as manipulation, distance as confirmation. No matter what happens, reality bends to prove the belief right. The belief becomes a prophecy that fulfills itself. And yet, the moment they dare to question it, dare to consider, "What if I am lovable?" the spell begins to break. A single shift in belief can open doors that once felt permanently locked. So what does this mean for you? It means your beliefs are not just ideas. They are invisible architects of your reality. They defend themselves, they filter your perceptions, they shape your future. To ignore them is to surrender your freedom. To question them is to reclaim it. But here lies the paradox again. If belief systems give meaning, what happens when you dismantle them? Do you not risk falling into nihilism, into despair? Nietzsche faced this head-on when he declared that God is dead. He did not mean a deity had literally died, but that the belief system that once gave Europe its meaning had collapsed. The danger was not atheism. The danger was the void left behind. When belief crumbles, meaning trembles. And in the absence of meaning, chaos rushes in. This is why people cling to beliefs, even when they know they are false. The illusion of meaning feels safer than the threat of emptiness. And so the challenge is not only to question beliefs, but to replace them with deeper, truer ones. William James suggested that the test of a belief is not whether it is provable, but whether it proves itself in life, whether it helps us live more fully, courageously, authentically. Beliefs, in this sense, are tools. The question is not simply, is this belief true? But also, what does this belief do to me? Does it liberate or enslave me? Does it expand my life or diminish it? Pause here and reflect. What belief in your life has defended itself most fiercely? What belief do you find hardest to question, even though part of you suspects it might not be true? That belief is not just an opinion, it is a fortress. And to approach it is to approach the heart of your invisible system. In the final part, we will explore what it means to consciously reshape belief systems. How can you hold beliefs without being held by them? How can you live with conviction without being blind, with openness without being rootless? We will examine practices of philosophy, psychology, and spirituality that allow us to navigate between certainty and doubt, faith and reason, belonging and freedom. And we will close with a transformational challenge, to see your beliefs not as prisons, but as choices you can re-examine, refine, and when necessary, release. If belief systems are invisible architects of our reality, then the question is not whether you have them. You do. The question is whether you will let them shape you unconsciously, or whether you will step into the role of conscious architect. This is the difference between being lived by beliefs and living through them. It is the difference between slavery and freedom. But how do you do this? How do you reshape belief systems when they are so deeply ingrained, when they defend themselves with such ferocity, when they feel indistinguishable from truth itself? The answer is not simple, but it begins with awareness. You cannot dismantle what you cannot see. The first step is to notice. Start with your reactions. Notice what triggers you, what makes you defensive, what you instinctively reject. Often, the beliefs that are most invisible are those that flare up when questioned. If a comment makes you angry, ask yourself, what belief of mine is being threatened right now? When you feel shame, ask, what belief about myself is being exposed? These emotional reactions are signposts pointing to invisible systems. Journaling is a practical tool here. When you write freely about your fears, your judgments, your desires, patterns emerge. You begin to see the invisible threads that guide your life. Perhaps you notice that you often write, "I can't." That reveals a belief about limitation. Perhaps you often write, "They never change." That reveals a belief about people. Awareness shines a light on the invisible, and once illuminated, beliefs lose some of their grip. Philosophy offers another approach, the discipline of questioning. Socrates showed us that the unexamined belief is the most dangerous, because it masquerades as truth. To question does not mean to destroy, it means to test. Ask yourself, what is the evidence for this belief? What is the evidence against it? What would my life look like if I did not hold it? This questioning is not meant to paralyze, but to liberate. It creates space between you and the belief, reminding you that you are not your ideas. You are the one who holds them. But questioning alone is not enough. For if you dismantle belief without replacing it, you risk falling into nihilism. The void left behind can be terrifying. Nietzsche warned of this when he said that after the collapse of old systems, humanity risked being swallowed by meaninglessness. The solution, he believed, was to create new values, to take responsibility for shaping belief rather than passively inheriting it. This is where William James provides guidance. He argued that beliefs should be tested not only for truth, but for vitality. Does this belief help me live a fuller, braver, more authentic life? Does it align me with reality, or does it shield me from it? If a belief brings courage, compassion, resilience, it is life-giving. If it brings fear, bitterness, paralysis, it may be life-diminishing, even if it comforts in the short term. Psychology complements this with the idea of reframing. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most effective forms of modern psychology, is built on the recognition that beliefs shape emotions and actions. By identifying distorted beliefs and replacing them with balanced ones, people change not only their minds but their lives. A person who believes, "I am worthless," can, with practice, replace that belief with, "I have inherent value, even when I fail." This is not mere positive thinking. It is the conscious reshaping of belief systems that once operated invisibly. But here is the deeper work. Not all beliefs can be replaced with simple affirmations. Some require wrestling with paradox. Kierkegaard called this the leap of faith, the willingness to embrace beliefs that cannot be proven, but that give life depth. For example, the belief that life has meaning cannot be proven scientifically. And yet, without it, despair can consume us. To live authentically, Kierkegaard suggested, we must sometimes choose beliefs not because they are certain, but because they are essential to living fully. This raises a profound challenge. How do you balance conviction with humility? How do you hold beliefs strongly enough to guide your life, yet lightly enough to change them when needed? The answer may lie in what Buddhist philosophy calls non-attachment. To be non-attached is not to be indifferent, it is to care deeply without clinging. Applied to beliefs, this means living by them with passion, but being willing to release them when they no longer serve truth or growth. You ride the horse of belief, but you do not mistake the horse for the destination. Let's bring this down to the personal level. Imagine you grew up believing that vulnerability is weakness. This belief shaped your life. You avoided intimacy, you put on masks, you never let anyone see your struggles. But over time, you notice the loneliness it creates. You question it. You ask, is it true that vulnerability is weakness? Or is it possible that vulnerability is strength? Slowly, you test this new belief. You share a truth with a trusted friend. You reveal a fear. You allow yourself to be seen. And you discover that far from making you weak, it deepens connection. The belief shifts. The invisible influence loses its hold. Your reality changes because your belief changed. Now imagine this on a cultural scale. A society believes that success is measured only by wealth. Every institution reinforces it, every media outlet glorifies it, every family pushes it. But then cracks appear. People burn out. Inequality grows. Individuals begin to question, is wealth the only measure of success, or is there another way? Slowly, alternative beliefs spread. That success includes health, relationships, purpose. And culture begins to shift. The invisible influence of belief is not only personal, it is collective. To reshape it requires not only individuals questioning, but communities daring to imagine differently. This is where stories matter. Myths, films, literature, these are not mere entertainment. They are carriers of belief. When we watch a movie about courage, we absorb the belief that courage is possible. When we read a story of redemption, we absorb the belief that change is possible. Art is the laboratory where new belief systems are imagined and tested. To reshape society, we must reshape its stories. And so, you stand at a crossroads. You can continue to live under invisible influences, believing not because you chose to, but because you inherited. Or you can step into the discomfort of awareness, the humility of questioning, the courage of reshaping. This does not mean abandoning all beliefs. It means holding them consciously, choosing them deliberately, testing them against life. It means becoming the architect of your reality, rather than its passive inhabitant. As we close, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take one belief you hold about yourself or the world, just one. Ask, where did this belief come from? Who gave it to me? What does it do to me? Does it expand my life or diminish it? And then most importantly ask, what would my life look like if I let it go or reshaped it? Sit with the discomfort. Write about it. Talk about it. Test it. In that act, you begin the work of reclaiming your freedom. Because the dangerous truth is this: belief systems will always influence you. The only question is whether they do so invisibly or consciously. To live unconsciously is to be lived by ideas that may not even be yours. To live consciously is to shape your own framework, to choose beliefs that serve truth, growth, and life itself. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Your beliefs are your why. Make them conscious. Make them true. Make them yours. If this exploration has stirred something in you, let it not fade when the video ends. Share your reflections below. What belief have you discovered shaping your life invisibly? How has it limited or liberated you? And if you feel compelled to continue questioning, continue growing, continue seeing the invisible, then stay with this channel. Subscribe not as a casual click, but as a declaration that you refuse to live blind to the forces that shape you, that you are ready to reclaim the architect's role. The invisible influence of belief systems is not destiny. It is a challenge. And the challenge is this: will you remain unconscious, or will you awaken?